It really does help to manage anxiety, deal with it, interpret it in a positive way, and it also helps you to build confidence. So my name's Jonathan. I'm a mentor and a teacher, and I help people to overcome their fears and their anxieties so they can build confidence, discipline, a positive mindset, and have a routine and so much more. So yeah, having a routine really helps, guys and girls. I've got a routine that I practice every day, and the good thing about having a routine is it really does teach you. It teaches you how to deal with negative emotions, anxiety, mental health, OCD, intrusive thoughts, worries, fears, doubts, discomfort. And the more you practice your daily routine, the stronger you get. And I'm going to say this, right, because again, I get confused with this sometimes, and people do. It's not really about trying to get rid of every anxiety that you've got, although that would be nice, and sometimes you can. It's about learning to live with the anxiety, and having an attitude, and having the discipline to do things and move forward and live your daily life, regardless of whether you're experiencing anxiety or not. And obviously, that's difficult for all of us, me included, but you can do it. Many people have done it, and if you look at your life, you would have realized that you've done it before, but it's being consistent. And I've found that the daily routine can help anyone at any stage of their life, whatever they're going through, whatever you're going through, because we've got daily lives, and there's things that we need to do, things that we want to do. There's also things that we don't feel like doing, but we have to do them, or we should do them. And when you go through that process of having anxiety and not wanting to do it and feeling negative, you get better, And again, I would say, yes, it's nice to feel good, but it also teaches you that it's okay to not feel good, that we do get days where I have loads of days where I don't feel good. I feel down, I feel depressed, I feel, nervous, anxious. But you can learn to still move forward whilst being in that place, and that's such a good strength to have, to be able to do things when you don't feel like it, because when you do feel like doing things, you really appreciate it, but you can also appreciate the fact that you're able to do things when you don't feel like doing them. That makes sense. This is always a little bit difficult to explain, but it's basically accepting anxiety when it's there, when it's not, because if you don't accept anxiety, it gets stronger. And then you make it, you get scared of it, you push it away, and the more you push it away, the more it starts to bully you and frighten you, and that's when, obviously, that's when we isolate and we avoid things and we put things off in hope that they're going to go away or we're going to get comfortable. And it's an addiction in a sense, because putting things off helps you in the short run, but in the long run, you don't get over it. It comes back, it's still there. So it's better to try and chip away each and every day and face the things that you're scared to face and overcome them. Good morning to you. And that is the tricky part with anxiety, and for everyone at times, even teachers or practitioners or therapists, we want to get rid of it. We don't want to have it, and obviously that can be positive because there are things that you can do to lower your anxiety, but you can't live on the premise and the belief that I want to never get anxiety, because you're going to get it that way, and you're going to teach yourself that every time it comes, you can't handle it. And that's not going to be helpful in the long run. And therapy has come to that conclusion, and I have as well, from teaching others and facing my own. So you want to get to a stage where you may not like the anxiety, but you can tolerate it, and you may not like feeling negative, but you can tolerate that, and you can go out and go for a run, you can go to work, and that's where you build strength of character, more self-awareness, and a higher tolerance to any anxiety. And anxiety, as a lot of you know, or you may not know, it shows up with emotions, with feelings, with thoughts, with intrusive thoughts, with stories, with images, with perspective, all things that can frighten us. But mostly, the most part that frightens people is the feelings and the emotions that their anxieties trigger. So as I said before, facing the triggers is how you get stronger. Yeah, exactly. See, it would be the same as you said with recovery, with getting clean. It's the same in all areas pretty much, same principle. A good thing that you can do as well, again, I'm going to give you a lot of options. You know, you don't have to face your fears and anxieties 24 hours a day. I mean, that's too much to ask of anyone. Even a couple of hours a day, you'll see a lot of progress. You know, if you spend 2 hours a day facing your fears and your anxieties in whatever area of life you have them, and then after that, obviously, you can socialize, or you can watch a movie, or you can lay down, or you can go back into your comfort zone. You will get stronger. So that is important to explain, because sometimes people feel like, oh, I've got to be constantly in therapy, or I've constantly got to be facing my fears. And of course, that's a bit too extreme. So it's a bit noisy here. This is another triggering thing with the traffic. And the worst anxieties that you got, you know, the fears, which is the feelings and the thoughts. I've said it before. One of my biggest anxieties when I was younger, and everyone's scared of it. It's a normal fear. It's not just me that had it. But was boxing, was sparring, was getting in the ring and boxing another fighter. I was so frightened of that, and I built it up. And it is scary when you first do it. You do get really nervous. You do, you know. But the more you face it, the less scary it becomes, and the more courage you build, the more resilience, the more you get used to it, and you get to a place where, you know, you get to a point where you're never going to completely be anxiety free when you're going into a boxing ring and you're fighting someone. That wouldn't be human. Although if you practice it enough, you will get some times where the fear won't be there. So yes, it's possible. If you practice facing a fear consistently, you can get to a point where there's no anxiety, there's no fear, right? Which is brilliant. That's the best outcome. But you can't expect to never ever get triggered in that area, because at some point you will. So as I said, when I first started boxing, I was so scared to go to the gym and speak to people. I was so nervous of judgment and my own fears and emotions in my body. But the more I did it, the more I faced that fear, the more confident I became, and the less scary it became, because I got experience. I understood it through facing it, which is the only way you really can understand it. And then when there'll be days where I wasn't scared, I thought this is great, but there would be another day where it would scare me, but I'd be more accepting of it, because I knew the process. I knew it weren't going to last forever. I knew I wasn't going to be in fight or flight forever. I knew the emotions weren't going to stay there forever, and I knew all the thoughts that I was having were eventually going to go, and they would go. And then the next week it would be repeating the process again. It would come back again. I'd face it again. And that was the same process for me with public speaking. You know, when I first started talking, I was so scared of getting embarrassed in front of people, and I was scared of my own emotions in my body, right? It works both ways. But the more I did public speaking, the more I enjoyed it. The more confident I became whilst being in that feelings of anxiety. So it's not always about getting rid of every anxiety. It's about being able to have the confidence that you can handle it, and that it's not going to kill you. and it's not going to be there forever. And if it does stay there, then you're okay, you can accept it. If it does stay for long periods of time. So anxiety is periodic, in that depending on what you're going through right now, you may have anxiety for the whole day in the background, but you can live with that. And if you think about it, if you're alive now, you've been doing it. It's just you've been resisting the anxiety. You've been adding on to more stress where you don't have to. You can accept it, because we all feel anxiety. It's part of being human. But some of us are better at dealing with it than others. And that's the difference between achieving your goals in life and becoming successful at whatever it is that you're trying to achieve, whether that's getting clean from alcohol or drugs, whether that's overcoming depression, whether that's losing weight, whether that's getting a relationship, whether that's overcoming a breakup, whether that's overcoming OCD or mental health. It's really the same challenge that you're up against.
Pretty much.
So there's only two options. You can run from your anxiety triggers and stay in the kind of normal anxiety that you're dealing with in depression, which doesn't help in the long run. It's not how you that's not how you change your life or overcome what you're dealing with. Or you can be brave and just say, look, take one day at a time. So you don't have to think about tomorrow or the next days, which scares all of us, can scare me as well. It's too much overthinking. Just focus on what can I do today? How can I face my fears today and do the best I can? And if you fail, that's fine. We're gonna fail at days. If you fail in regards to letting the anxiety overwhelm you and talk you into believing all of its tricks and lies, because pretty much most of the anxiety, if not 100%, is lying, although it feels real. Feels real when you're in it. It feels real when you're thinking and you're worrying about it. But if you look at your life, most of it is not came true. And if some of the things came true, you can handle it. Worst case scenario, if you get rejected or you get embarrassed or you have a panic attack, they're not nice things, don't get me wrong. None of us want them, but you can handle them. So when the anxiety says, I can't handle it, you can say, I can handle it. Or if I can't handle it right now, I'm going to get the help and support from other people that are going to give me the support, and they're going to eventually enable me. They're going to teach me how to be strong for myself. I can handle it. I can handle the challenges that I'm facing today. I can. And if I can't handle it, that's okay. I'm a human being. I don't have to be perfect. So you're not putting that ultimatum of that pressure that you must handle it. It's too much pressure for anyone. And focusing is really, really important as well. As I said, having a daily routine of things that are positive. So wake up in the morning, try not to ruminate, leave the house, go to the gym. These are things that require focus, and you'll enjoy them when you do them. Or you'll learn to do these things whilst your anxiety is in the background, trying to get your attention, trying to bother you, trying to bring you down. You're strengthening your spirit, you're strengthening your mind, you're getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. You're building a tolerance to anxiety, to stress, to worry, to fears, all the fears that trigger all people. And you're teaching yourself that you can handle it. That's a huge part of this, if not all of it. Changing that belief from I can't accept it, I can't handle it, to I can accept it. Doesn't mean you're not afraid. There's no shame in being afraid. There's nothing wrong, but it's having the courage to be okay with it, or to accept that you may not be okay with it. And that's another part of acceptance. And you'll get stronger each and every day. And as the weeks go on, you'll look back and say, wow, last month I couldn't do what I'm doing now. Good to see you, Timmy. How you getting on, all right? And you can also do brave things like, if you get a therapist or a mentor like myself or a good friend, you can write down what are the fears, what are your biggest fears right now of your anxiety that you don't want to talk about, that you don't want to face or you don't want to accept. Write them down on paper. You know, is it public speaking? Is it relationships? Is it finances? You know, is it intrusive thoughts from your OCD? These thoughts are not you, they're not real, but we suffer them. I suffer with them. Many people do, but they're not us. Write them down and practice not believing them, not feeding the intrusive thoughts or the negative thoughts that are circulating in your head or, you know, or in your mind. Practice ignoring them. So lots of anxieties, there's anxieties that you overcome by facing them, like public speaking, like talking to people, going to the gym. These are practical fears which give you a lot of confidence. But there's also psychological fears that we have, thoughts that are not real, that are not true, thoughts that are trying to pull us in and get us to believe and get us to energize, which bring us down and make us believe that we are these thoughts when we're not. So you can practice having awareness, saying, I'm aware of these thoughts. I'm aware of these intrusive thoughts that are not me. And they're trying to convince me and pull me in to believe that they're me, to bring me down and frighten me and shame me and make me feel guilty. You start to be aware. You can starve these thoughts. You can be aware of them. And the more you're aware of them, the more you don't give them your attention, the stronger you get. And the more they start to fade away and eventually diminish.
So I'm looking 7th to the 20th. Is it?
My wife sent me a few videos and
Yeah, it's good to have a bit of a balance, Timmy, you're right. There's nothing wrong with having a break here and there, as long as you don't do it too long, because that can be sometimes the anxiety tricking you and trying to pull you back in to that cycle. But yeah, of course, within having a routine, I've said before, you can enjoy your life. You can have some food, a burger now and then. But if you overdo it, you can get pulled back into the cycle. So there's other practices of facing anxiety. You can go on a run. I like running. That gives you a lot of strength. You can talk to your friends. You can also practice times where, sitting down. Again, many people have done this. If you've got a lot of psychological fears that you're trying to avoid, you can sit down and practice, just being more mindful, more present, and not practice separating yourself from thoughts and intrusive thoughts and getting more disciplined at not believing them. And it's also, accepting bad days. We all have bad days. I have them, where your anxiety gets the better of you and you feel like you're not going to get over it, you're never going to get out of it, but you will. Tomorrow's another day. So we all have bad days. But if you listen to anyone who's overcome an anxiety problem or a challenge, or they would say to you that they've had a lot of bad days, but it's in those bad days having gratitude and not losing hope and learning from the bad days and accepting that it's not failure. Obviously as humans, we're not perfect. We do get days where our fears get the better of us, and I get those days too. But those days make you appreciate the next days, the days where you do better. And you're going to have times where you might have a whole week, a whole month, sometimes a whole year of your anxiety getting the better of you, or your addictions or your fears, and that's okay. You know, it's accepting that we can't always win, we can't always have good days, we can't always be disciplined, and that's just the truth for everyone. Wow, you know what? I'm tired from yesterday. I had a great day yesterday. I'm not surprised. I did a 3-hour run. I did 1 hour on the cycle and boxing. I did about almost 5 hours of training. It's just hit me now. I was wondering when the fatigue was going to kick in. But that's a good thing, you know. That's what I'm saying about acceptance and about not trying to be perfect, because that's what a lot of anxiety does. I go through it as well. A lot of you do. We're always trying to be perfect and not just relaxing and being vulnerable and accepting that we're human, and obviously we have vulnerabilities, and you know, this is where having more awareness comes in. And everyone goes through this. We've got that voice in our head which is always demanding more, always saying what we've done isn't enough. But when you become aware of it, you start to, then you've got a choice to separate yourself from it. Exactly, Timmy, you're right. Jesus knows that we do stumble sometimes. It's okay. That's it. Good attitude. And that's why, you know, I'm lucky, because it's good to have some really close friends, you know, that you can talk to and just have friendships with, so you're not on your own, because obviously none of us can do everything on our own on this journey. That's too much to ask for. So that's another thing of getting over the anxiety, of not letting your anxiety talk you into isolation, which is what a lot of men do. And I understand, I've been through it, where we tend to isolate ourselves when we're going through anxiety, or we're feeling ashamed or feeling down, and that's not good. That's not how you get better and recover. That's how things get worse. So be brave. Don't be afraid to be afraid, and ask for the help you need. That's why I've got help as well. We all need help and support, through friendships, through love, through faith, or through therapy, professional help, through groups and support and communities like this. Because no one, don't care how strong you are, no one can bear the weight and the burden and the stress of dealing with fear all on their own, you know, forever, you know, every single day. That's too much to bear. And when you get the help and support, you feel better. Even on a bad day, it's a lot better, and you give other people strength. So we give one another strength through relationships, through honesty, through communication, and through trying to enjoy our lives and accepting there are times when we're not happy. You know, David Goggins said it right. I'm not happy all the time. You're not going to have happy emotions when you're facing your fears, because it's challenging, it's stressful. The happiness is going to come when you don't expect it. You can't force happiness. You can't force yourself to be happy. It never works usually. But you can be courageous. You can be grateful. You can accept being down and find gratitude when you're going through really difficult times. And sometimes that's better than happiness, because happiness can be fleeting, right? It's lovely when you feel it, but it never lasts forever. But what does last long term is what we're talking about today. Acceptance, you know, communication, friendships, exercising, training, having a routine. This gives you something actually a lot better than happiness. Now, having faith is, for me, for a lot of the times, it's not always being happy. And I found faith when I've been my most unhappiest, when I've been the most depressed, the most frightened. I've been going through major challenges, all of them, like we all do at a certain time in life, mental, emotional, financial, You know, and that's when I found, well, I've really found strong faith. So again, you know, we're all going through different times. Of course, there's times in your life where things are going well, which is great, and you don't have as much anxiety, and then you'll enjoy that. But at some point, you're going to get challenges. You know, it's not going to be like that forever, and that's where a lot of these tools and practices really do come in handy.
Maybe I'll just watch you buy.
Awesome, Timmy, reading your comments. Just gonna walk, guys. Actually, probably gonna end it now because other people are having tea and stuff. Don't want to talk out loud. But yeah, hope this helps for all of you today. All right, stay inspired, and I'll put more videos up soon.